Hello guys, how you doing? I thought we'd have a wee hangout tonight, give me something to do. Since old Jerry boy put out I would call it a hit piece, because the guy's got better things to worry about, to be honest. He's got his balloon he promised everyone, he's still no shown anybody. And can you not remember as they were going through the Globebusters catalogue of cameras and stuff? You should be worrying about other stuff, Jerry boy. I hope you enjoyed the clips. I watched it online, it was amazing, amazing stuff. Kind of proved the moon wasn't transparent. And this eclipse was predicted on the globe model years and years and years ago. The flat earth couldn't predict an eclipse to save themselves. Anyway, this main hangout's about Jeranism's hit piece. Because I call it a hit piece. Because I'm a small channel, I'm only 700 subs, guys. The video I released only had about 120 views. It wasn't even a globe proof. I didn't call it a globe proof. If you watch the video, which Jeranism never linked in his debunking video, but he's a big channel, 75,000 subs, and he's not got better things to do than attack smaller channels with the worst globe proof ever. It's like the worst globe proof ever. Are you kidding? Are you fucking kidding, Jaron? Get a grip, mate. Get a grip. Get off your high horse. Anyway, we're going to look at his video, and I'm just going to correct him on a few things. He's fully himself, Jaron. And at one point I was willing to talk to the guy, but he's obviously proved he's a dogmatic religious nutcase himself. Look at the name, Jeranism. Jeranism. Do you know what I mean? His boyfriend couldn't get the rocket up, IPS. They need some rocket Viagra, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, I'll have a quick look at chat. See what he's up to. For some reason, the chat's disappeared for there. Let's see. But I can see it on my OBS. Alright, Morky. And there's YouTube, the Flat Earth Troll, Tinfoil Hatter, and Rusty Trombone Virtuoso. Marin Chaps. Hey, long time no see, man. Marin Chaps. Recognise that name. One of my subs, anyway. So let's get on with looking at Jaron's video. Jerry boy. I'll switch the mics around. Right. So like I say, it's had 7,000 views already. We'll go through the comments here, because some of the comments are brilliant. But 7,000 views, 699 likes. You know what I mean? My shitty wee animation, and he's thought he'd pick on it. What a saddle, complete saddle. But let's see what he's got to say for himself.
What you're seeing here is a mirage.
What's going on, everyone? It's Jeranism, back with another video for you today. Going to quickly cover the worst globe proof there is, Eratosthenes.
And by the way, Jaron, there is such thing as copyright. You do know this. Copyright. You see here, I've got a fair use on the screen down below. Fair use. It's a copyright disclaimer. So it kind of helps me, so I can critique your work. And I don't ask for any monetary gain, so that helps me for my fair use. So the fact is, Jaron, by me critiquing you and having a fair use disclaimer, that puts me in a safe net. And same with no money. I don't ask for any money. That puts me in a safer net. And you're just going along using my shit without any. You didn't even ask me. You didn't even ask me, and you didn't even put a link to the video either. And there's no fair use disclaimer. You're walking on ice Jaron, flat ice. So get that straight, pal.
And Jed Skeptic Media recently covered this subject, but I feel I have to correct some of the errors. So, Jed, take it away.
How could you prove the shape of the Earth without looking at images from space?
We could look at water. It lies level and flat.
There we go. There's another flat earth fallacy. We can look at water. It lies level and flat everywhere we look. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Water's always moving. The tides, the water levels are always going up and down. There's waves, there's currents. The water is constantly moving and it's never, hardly ever level. But that's how they start you off. Right away, bang. The first thing he says, fallacy. Anyway, continue.
Always has, always will.
Well, a Greek named Eratosthenes did it 300 years BC.
Ah, man, I'm sorry about that one. He was actually born in 276 BC. So you have...
So here he goes. He was actually born in 276 BC. But later on in the video, he goes on to say that the guy didn't exist. So when I was researching Eratosthenes, I found that there was different dates, but it was around the 300. It was around that. So I just put down 300. It was just an approximate. Because I don't know exactly. I found different dates, so I just rounded it off to 300. I thought that would be better for me. But Jaron, who thinks that he didn't exist, is awfully picky with his date of birth. Does he know the month and the year? I mean, does he know that, like, the month and the day? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's this all about?
Have him at about 24 years premature.
You get off picky, 24 years premature. It's like, but later on he says that the guy didn't even exist and there's only fragments of the guy's existence, but Jaron seems to know exactly the year he was born.
Which would be pretty impressive, but I don't think it's the case.
He's pretty impressive, but I don't think it's the case.
He suspected the world was round. After all, the sun and the moon are round.
I'm surprised he didn't jump on that one. The sun and the moon are round. Because this was something they would have jumped on last year. No, it's not. No, just because the sun and the moon are round doesn't mean what we're standing on is round. What was it they used? I think it was fruit they used. It was like, just because oranges and apples are round, it doesn't mean a banana's round or some shit like that. It's like, but I think he skipped that one.
He also noticed the sun's rays fell in parallel lines.
Oh, really? Did he notice that?
Here we go. He's going to talk about these rays that he's trying to say here. The sun's just above the clouds. The sun is just above the clouds, which is what? 15 kilometers? So, and he makes out as well that the Greeks didn't have any sense of vanishing points or perspective. Because this is what's happening here, guys. These rays are coming down straight. But just like in a train track, it narrows off. It's your perspective. These are coming in straight. It's an illusion that you're seeing. But these morons, like Jaron, think that the sun's local and it's close. The Greeks didn't think that. The Greeks didn't think that.
Because all their observations would have told them in 275 BC that those beams of sunlight come from a close sun. In fact, Eratosthenes thought the sun was close.
I doubt it, because his experiment would have worked if he thought the sun was close.
So, no way he thought they came in parallel lines.
While looking through a scroll one day, he read that at noon, on the longest day of the year, a vertical column cast no shadow in Syene, a city south of Alexandria. Eratosthenes knew that this did not happen in Alexandria. He thought to himself,
Hey guys, I'm Carly Kloss, and I just created my own website with Wix.
Go to Wix.com to create your stunning...
A fucking advert in my own video.
Possible that shadows in Alexandria and not in Syene, in at the same time of the day?
Oh, easy. When you have a small local sun, everything works out exactly the same.
He just assumes that everything works out exactly the same. It doesn't. Do your own experiment, Jaron, and see if it works out exactly the same.
Eratosthenes figured out that the sun must be directly overhead in Syene, but not in Alexandria. Aha! Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved.
Wait, what?
Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved. That the Earth's surface is curved. Proof.
No.
Proof.
No.
Proof.
No.
He thought to himself, how is it possible to have shadows in Alexandria and not in Syene? Proof.
No.
Curved. The Earth's surface is curved.
This is what Jaron fails to mention. The 7 degrees. The shadow. The shadow is 7 degrees. And this is how it's calculated around the circle. But he fails to mention the 7 degree shadow that the pillar cast. And you couldn't get it on a small local sun. And if you could, I'd like to see the experiment. Because a small local closer sun would have an effect on the shadows throughout the day would be longer and they would move quicker. The behaviour of the shadows would be completely different for a small local sun and a distant sun. He's just talking nonsense and he fails to understand the 7 degrees of the shadow that makes up a circle, a sphere. It's crazy, but he just ignores it.
Curved.
Wait, what?
Wait, what?
Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved. That the Earth's surface is curved. Proof.
No.
Proof.
No.
Sun above the first pillar, which caught.
See this shadow here? That's what you need to measure. And throughout the day, when the sun moves across the sky, these shadows would behave dramatically different with a local sun. And the angles would be totally different throughout the whole day.
Causes the second pillar to have a shadow, yet it's sitting on a plane, not on a sphere.
If the angle was 1/50th of a circle,
the angle was 1/50th of a circle. Like, he doesn't take into account the angles.
Must be 50 times the distance from Alexandria to Syene.
Well, Jed, we appreciate it, but Eratosthenes, much like the bottom of your beloved globe, holds no weight. Next, we have a teacher trying to explain this garbage. Make sure you watch right at the beginning here, and you can actually see the moment that he realizes what he's teaching doesn't really make sense at all.
And Eratosthenes realized that if you were to extend this ray of light coming in at Syene, it would go all the way to the center of the Earth, if you were to extend that line. And he realized that if you were to extend this ray of light coming in at Alexandria, it would miss the center of the Earth. But the pole setup, which was vertical, if you were to extend that line, it would go to the center of the Earth.
Well, yes.
See, this is where he fails to mention again. And he picked a teacher that never mentioned the 7 degrees either. The angle, the 7 degree angle.
Ray of light coming in at Alexandria, it would miss the center of the Earth. But the pole setup, which was vertical, if you were to extend that line, it would go to the center of the Earth.
Well, yeah.
See, never mentions the 7 degrees. And then Jaron continues to go on to show us a diagram. And this sun should be emitting rays all over the Earth. All over the Earth. Not just on the back of the moon to create this eclipse. This is I don't know why you even use this.
Yes, I guess if you were on a ball, you might have those things happen. So now you can see part of the problem here. When the globe needs parallel rays, they use parallel rays. But as soon as an eclipse comes, well, now they need to use angled rays, as seen in this image. Not too hard to deceive people when you get to set the rules. And for all you who put so much faith into this Eratosthenes character, please take a look at his Wikipedia, which clearly says that it was unlikely, even accounting for his extremely primitive measuring tools, that Eratosthenes could have calculated an accurate measurement for the circumference of the Earth.
See how quickly he went through that. Could calculate an accurate. And this is where Jeranism's misleading people. This is where Jeranism's misleading people, guys. This accurate. He says it so quickly. I'll let you hear it again. But I'll go over the full article.
Accounting for his extremely primitive measuring tools into this Eratosthenes' extremely primitive Wikipedia, which clearly says that it was unlikely, even accounting for his extremely primitive measuring tools, that Eratosthenes could have calculated an accurate measurement.
It was unlikely with his primitive measuring tools. He could accurately measure, and he never accurately measured because he never took certain things in account. He based it on a perfect sphere, which the Earth isn't a perfect sphere, so he wasn't going to get that right. He based a few things, and we can go through the whole article, but he was still close. He was still the closest to ever get it. And this is what Jeranism's abusing. He's abusing. Jeranism's abusing the whole accuracy in the article, and he wasn't accurate. No one said he was perfectly accurate because he never took into account certain things. But I'll go through the article anyway. Right, here it is here. Eratosthenes of Cyrene was a Greek mathematician, geographer, poet, astronomer, and music theorist. He was a man of learning, becoming the chief librarian at the Library of Alexander. He invented the discipline of geography, including the terminology used today. He is best known for being the first person to calculate the circumference of the Earth. And that was the whole point of that. He was measuring the circumference of the Earth. That was the experiment. He wasn't trying to prove the Earth was a ball or a globe. But you've just got to assume the world is a 3D object if you're trying to measure the circumference of it. Like, what would be the point? If you assumed the Earth was flat, why would you try and measure the circumference of a flat disk? Like, he obviously assumed the Earth was a 3D shape. Right. Which he did by applying a measurement system using stadia, a standard unit of measure during that time period. His calculation was remarkably accurate. He was also the first to calculate the tilt of the Earth's axis, again with remarkable accuracy. Additionally, he may have been accurately calculating the distance from the Earth to the Sun. And invented the leap day. He created the first map of the world, incorporating parallels and meridians based on the available geographic knowledge of his era. Eratosthenes was the founder of scientific chronology. He endeavoured to revise the dates of the chief literary and political events from the conquest of Troy. Eratosthenes dated back of the sack of Troy to 1183 BC. In number theory, he introduced the sieve of Eratosthenes, an efficient method of identifying prime numbers. He was a figure of influence in many fields, according to an entry in the Suda, a 10th century reference. His critics scorned him, calling him beta, the second letter of the Greek alphabet, because he always came in second in all his endeavours. Nonetheless, his devotees nicknamed him Pentathlos, after the Olympians who were well-rounded competitors, for he had proven himself to be knowledgeable in every area of learning. Eratosthenes yearned to understand the complexities of the entire world. So, for somebody that never existed, and there's his date of birth there, I seen this when I was doing my research on the guy, but I've seen other accounts of his date of birth as well. So I just rounded it off to 300. So Jerry was just being picky there. But we'll go down and see the bit that he highlights, and he misrepresents it. He says, even your Bible, your beloved Wikipedia, or whatever he says, and where is it? Here it is here, this part here. It was unlikely, even accounting for his extremely primitive measuring tools, that Eratosthenes could have calculated an accurate measurement of the circumference of the earth. That doesn't mean he never. It just means he never done it accurately. He made 5 important assumptions, none of which is perfectly accurate. So, he reckoned that the distance between Alexandria and Syene was 5,000 stadia, which he had read in scrolls. And this is what I had in my animation. He was reading a scroll. He'd read. It's not like he had measured the whole distance from Alexandria and to Syene, but through the scrolls, through history, through previous scholars, he had read that that was the distance. That Alexandria is due north of Syene. That Syene lies on the Tropic of Cancer. This is what he assumed, and he was wrong, but he wasn't far away. It wasn't far away from the Tropic of Cancer. That's why, even though he wasn't accurate, it was close. That the Earth is a perfect sphere, which is not. We all know it's oblate. That light rays emanating from the sun are parallel. So it says here that because he assumed these 5 things, his result wasn't perfectly accurate, because he never took into account a lot of these things, or he just assumed certain things. Eratosthenes later rounded the result of the final value of 700 stadia per degree, which implies a circumference of 252,000 stadia, likely for reasons of calculation simplicity, as larger numbers is evenly divisible by 60. In 2012, Mora repeated Eratosthenes' calculation with more accurate data. The result was 40,074 kilometres, which is 66 kilometres from the currently accepted polar circumference of the Earth. 1700 years after Eratosthenes' death, while Christopher Columbus studied what Eratosthenes had written about the size of the Earth, he chose to believe, based on the map by Toscanelli, that the Earth's circumference was 1/3 smaller. Had Columbus set sail knowing that Eratosthenes' larger circumference value was more accurate, he would have known that the place that he made landfall was not Asia, but rather the New World. So what they're saying here is if Christopher Columbus actually went with Eratosthenes' prediction of the size of the Earth, he would have known it was America he was going to, no Asia. You know what I mean? So, and there's plenty stuff about the guy. Just because he wasn't accurate, perfectly accurate, doesn't mean he never done it. But this is where Jerry Boy is very misleading. He was good at misleading people. He's good at skipping past stuff.
Put so much faith into this Eratosthenes character. Please take a look at his Wikipedia, which clearly says that it was unlikely, even accounting for his extremely primitive measuring tools, that Eratosthenes could have calculated an accurate measurement for the circumference of the Earth. He made 5 important assumptions, none of which, notice again, none of which are perfectly accurate.
Notice again, none of which.
Number 1, the distance between Alexandria and Cyrene being 5,000 stadia. Number 2, that Alexandria is due north of Syene, which it's not. Number 3, that Syene lies in the Tropic of Cancer, which it doesn't. Number 4, that the Earth is a perfect sphere, which it's nowhere near. And number 5, the light rays emanating from the sun are parallel. So even Wikipedia, your go-to holy book, admits it. All right, what I hope...
Admits it. Admits what? Admits it. Admits what, Jaron? Admits that Eratosthenes wasn't as accurate as today's measurements, because he never took into account that the Earth's not perfect. His measurements of stadia isn't as accurate as what we've got. And that's another thing we'll look at later, your measurements of stadia.
people notice by researching this stuff is that clearly you have to in Eratosthenes and most of his evidence. Also, you need to realize that your religion is as bogus as Joseph Smith and his golden plates.
So he's saying that we have to give up Eratosthenes because he's bogus, just like the Mormon religion. What's the point? What's the point in mentioning this? What's the point in this video, Jen? What's the point in attacking a small channel like me with a video of an animation that's had just over 100 views? What's your game? And why are you using my stuff when you monetize all your stuff? You never asked me permission, Jaron.
So let's start the final nails into the coffin. Number one, Eratosthenes was the head librarian and scholar at the Library of Alexandria around 250 to 200 BC. We also have Herod the Elder from Alexandria, not many years after Eratosthenes, and he also lives and was from Alexandria. Now, he wrote many books.
So he goes on to say that this Herod guy wrote many books and he lived not long after Eratosthenes, but Eratosthenes never existed. But Herod did. Even though there's fragments of Herod existence left, just like there's fragments of Eratosthenes. But in one hand, Jaron likes to say, don't believe this guy existed. And then in another hand says, this guy, Herod, which is just as old, probably going back just as far, he existed. And this proves that this guy never existed. Like, what kind of logic is that? That's flat earth logic. That's flat earth logic.
And people have praised him many times over.
Praised him? Who praised him many times over?
However, he never, and I repeat never, mentioned Eratosthenes.
See, for somebody that thinks that these people didn't exist, he puts a lot of faith into this one guy just to prove his point. And that's just contradiction and logic, just hypocrites. Total hypocrites.
Also, they both studied the same subject. So there's no way that somebody would not know about the head of the Library of Alexandria. Not when they are studying the same subjects. If you've ever looked into the earth measurements or anything at that time, you would definitely have come across Eratosthenes. Unless, of course, things were written in 1600, and then you're going to have a hard time getting all your P's and Q's and things lined up. So,
what are you talking about, Jen? Getting your P's and Q's lined up? What are you talking about? Where I come from, P's and Q's are manners. Please and thank you. So what are you talking about? Are you meaning dot the I's and stroke the T's? What's this phrasing that you're using? It doesn't make sense, Jaron. Have you just hashed this video together and hurried it together? Because a lot of it is just downright wrong, Jaron. Just downright wrong. And just misleading. As usual. But that's to be expected from the Globebuster squad. Jaron.
Certainly what it seems like happened. All right, we move on to number two, which was the geography, as Eratosthenes is considered to be the inventor of geography, and he measured Earth's rotundity, yet this is his map.
Yes, Jaron, it's a 2D projection, and it's gridded, like most 2D projections. If anyone looks at an A to Z, you'll find that it's gridded in boxes. Like,
yep, that's his map, with longitude and latitude as straight boxes. So if anybody was going to draw a map that was representative of reality, since he knew it was a sphere and he knew the size, why do we have this map?
Because the same way they make 2D projections nowadays, Jaron, and they know the Earth's a ball.
As the best map he ever produced. Something's fishy there.
Something's fishy there. What a fucking sweetie wife that guy is, man. Something's fishy there.
Now let's move on to number three. He actually wrote on many topics, including geography, mathematics, philosophy, chronology, literary criticism, grammar, poetry.
You're right.
Unfortunately, there are only tiny little fragments left of his work, so...
Tiny little fragments left of his work. You notice how he exaggerates and emphasises certain points he wants to make, and that sort of passive-aggressive tone, that passive-aggressive, shitty tone that he uses. And that's just deceptive on its own. This trust me tone. This, hey, open your mind, there's truth inside. Trust you. Tell the truth. Tell the truth to everyone. Bullshit, Jaron.
Eratosthenes is nothing more than a myth, a legend. You can add him to the other gods that science worships. Like
a myth and a legend. Add them to the gods.
Newton, St. Copernicus, and St. Galileo, and St. Einstein.
So all these people didn't exist. Is that what you're saying here, Jaron? That all these people didn't exist? So if these people didn't exist, why wouldn't other people step in and put their name to their achievements? Because why even put the name, any name, to what they achieved if they were fake? What's the point? What's the point in it, Jaron? What are you talking about?
All right, so the coffin is almost done. It's almost sealed. We're on to number 4. Have you ever heard of DIO? D-I-O. Well, many people only want to see peer-reviewed papers, so here you go. This is the International Journal of Scientific History, and what I'm about to tell you will shatter your little worship fest with Eratosthenes that...
Shatter our little worship fest. Jaron, I made a video, like, just showing a small experiment, and you think it's some kind of worship fest. Fucking hell, mate.
Every Egocentric fan seems to have. So let's get into the journal here. So to begin the journal, they first set out to show that there's no possible way that Eratosthenes had anything to do with measuring the circumference of the Earth, and if he did, he simply took numbers from earlier writers and knowing the...
If he did, which he did, he took numbers from earlier writers, which I said in my animation. I said he looked at his scrolls at earlier writings to get certain information. He read. That's what I said. No one said he done it all by himself. Jesus, man.
Actual radius of the Earth, or at least what was believed at that time for those who believed in the ball, it was very easy for him to come up with a circumference and no test needed to be done. They show a couple things here. They also show, and this will be the shocker.
Aye, because he had all the information he needed. He just had to measure a couple of shadows like that 6 degrees. The 7 degrees. I'll show you it, guys. It's here. There it is there. 1/50th of a circle. 7 degrees. Here. This is a thing Jaron fails to mention throughout the whole video. And it's what busts his close son as well. And it's this 7 degrees. This shadow. This little bit here. This is why he showed the teacher making an arse of it. And I never really mentioned the 7 degrees. I mentioned the 1/50th of a circle. But 7 degrees is 1/50th of a circle. And this is what Jaron deliberately avoids, because this is what debunks the whole lot. Debunks the local sun, all this crap. It's total rubbish. Total rubbish, Jaron. You talk utter shite.
Amongst other things, but
you cherry pick.
The first one is that Eratosthenes...
You cherry pick data. You cherry pick what you want to back up your version of reality, which is bullshit. At the end of the day, Jaron, you can make videos all day long about what I've done and how I've made the worst globe evidence proof ever video, whatever it is. But see, at the end of the day, Jaron, 99.9% of the world look at your videos and say, bullshit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you want to sprinkle it with your flat earth dust, how much you want to pander around and say, open your mind, truth inside. It doesn't matter about any of that shit. At the end of the day, you're wrong and I'm right. As much as you want to twinkle toes your way around your subjects, you'll never be right. You'll never ever be right. I could sit there and say nothing to you in a debate and still beat you because you're just wrong. Continue.
Had the sun 12 times smaller than the Earth. All right, and now we're on page 2 of the journal. You can also go online, look up DIO science journals. You can find all the past issues. And they're all
Read
free,
us some, Jaron. Read us some.
You're
just showing us
great
pages
finds.
here.
This one in particular, going on and saying that Eratosthenes couldn't have possibly been the one who did this trick, and they've all but proven it because of things like his distance to the moon. He had that at 780,000 stadia. I'll tell you what that comes out to in a moment. All right, so number 5 and 6 are, again, that Eratosthenes thought that the moon was 780,000 stadia and thought that the sun was 4,080,000 stadia. Now, you could just take each of those and divide it by 1,000 to get what Eratosthenes thought.
Divided by 1,000? You mean divided by 10? Jaron's just made a big fuck up there. And although the stadia has been debated how far a stadia is, it's nowhere near these numbers Jaron suddenly came up with. These 780 miles they thought the moon was. This is what Jaron just made up. And 4,000 miles they thought the sun was. That's bullshit. If you actually look at the stadia, it's 88,000 miles to the moon and 463,000 miles to the sun. Like 500,000 miles to the sun, which is, it's still not accurate. It's still no 93 million miles, but it's nowhere near 4,000 miles. So Jaron's just fucked that up, big style. He must have hashed his way through making this video. He's just made an arse of it, really. He's actually embarrassed himself. He's saying we embarrass ourselves. This is an embarrassment, calling it the worst globe proof ever. That's what I'm saying. Only the people that believe in flat Earth will take this as a good video. Everyone else looking at this will just laugh at it as shite. Utter shite.
He was saying, isn't it weird that we get 780 miles for the moon and 4,080 miles for the sun?
Isn't it weird, Jaron? Isn't it weird that you can't do calculations? Isn't it weird? You need to go back on this, Jaron, and fix it, because you've just made a pig's dinner of it. It's a shame. It's a shame.
A little bit interesting to get those distances in miles.
Interesting.
Now, for flat earthers, isn't it interesting that we get a distance of 780 miles for the moon?
And he'll fail to mention, and that's the thing, seeing this diagram he's made, if you were to bend the grass, the shadow would dramatically change by a different angle. And throughout the day, the Greeks didn't believe the sun was small and close. That's bullshit. That's bullshit, because I think the Greeks were smart enough to know when the sun rose and got to 12 at noon, it never changed size. It would be small as it rose. 12 noon, it would be big, the biggest, and then it would be small as it was setting. Do you think that Greeks actually thought that, Jaron? Honestly, I don't think so. I think they understood the laws of perspective before this. What a load of shit, Jaron, honestly.
Miles for the sun.
Go and pick fights with other channels.
There's no reason why his
Because you're just wasting your time here. You're just getting your ass kicked over and over again.
So, globe believers, teachers, intellectuals, it's basically time you drop the Eratosthenes myth. You're holding on to another religious dogma, and quite frankly, it's kind of embarrassing. It has been thoroughly debunked. It cannot be considered proof any longer of the globe. And if for some reason you think that it hasn't been debunked, well, please watch the screen now, because if these events actually happened, if he actually did measure this so-called distance around the Earth with these sticks and the sunlight, well then at the very least, the absolute very least, you would have to admit, as shown here, that a close sun, which is exactly as Flat Earth believes, and a small sun, which is exactly as Flat Earth believes, and a flat Earth, as Flat Earth believes, would yield the same exact result.
Well, show us then, Jaron. Show us. Because throughout history, we've done experiments. People have repeated Eratosthenes' experiment. You show us a 7-degree angle in the sun. I'm sure you could get someone in the northern hemisphere and someone near the equator to do the same experiment. So you show us if the sun is close and local, instead of using this diagram.
Results. So the fact that it's brought up continuously is at this point kind of pathetic. So when you say,
aha, Here was the proof that the Earth's surface is curved.
You just simply sound silly. Eratosthenes.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
So be kind, everyone. Don't lie to each other. And open your mind, because that's where truth is. And this has been Jeranism.
Peace! That's cringy as well, eh? Peace! Get to fuck. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is a total embarrassment. If Flat Earth are so big, why is a guy that's got 76,000 subs, who's got 7,000 views on this video, maybe more, because I didn't want to refresh this in case he deletes comments, but this probably had more, and he's picking fights with my animation, and should read the comments, and it says it all in the comments, in his comment section, it says it all, because the Flat Earthers, all they can say is, ha ha ha, well done, Jaron, and the people that don't agree with him give him big massive comments like that, like saying why they disagree with him. So we'll read some of the comments, because some of the comments on this are worth reading, guys. I'll change my mic. I'll have a look in chat, see how you're all doing, eh? Aye, but you think Jaron would have better things to do, like organise this balloon launch that they promised? Like when? 6 months ago? And where's this map? Remember the map that they promised everyone? So they go around picking on small channels and making an arse of it at the same time. Making an arse of it. Pathetic. Right, here we go. Schmick, Validation Boy. Ray, former Flat Earth PMARS. Captain Bullshit. Are all here. Let me check my chat. Refresh it. Hope you're having a good night. I hope you've enjoyed the clips. Pretty awesome. Awesome. Oh. Still got the chat there. Alright. Cool. Here we've got P Mars, we've got Ray, we've got Matt, Curved Water, Yvette. Who was that? HSP Gang. All the usual faces. Skyfly Bry, how you doing, mate? Super Noodles is here. Dr. Michael Moriarty. I'm sick of seeing these names, like Eratosthenes or Eratosthenes or whatever the fuck it is. I'm sick of saying it myself. I was hoping I wouldn't have to say his name again. Jaron saying in his videos, this should be the last time we hear his name, and I was hoping I didn't have to say that name again. But now he brings this video out. Validation Boy, Jed, just invite me in and we'll trash Jaron and his tranny crack whore wife together. Oh, Jaron married. Oh, he's probably watching. But Jaron's made so many mistakes in his own video. The biggest one was at the end with the Stadia. Oh man. And one Stadia is 600 miles. He divided by, what was it? Divided by 1,000 instead of 10, I think it was. Big mistake, Jaron. You fucked up big time. Big time, boy. Anyway, we'll read some of the comments, because these are good. These are really good. Fake friends exist, Ray. Peep my chan, says Validation Boy. Peep my chan. Euro trash fancy since 1990. I remember Euro trash, that was crazy. Right, let's look at this. Right, so we'll have a look at the comments, guys. Let's have a look at these comments, eh? And look who's at the top. Bob. Old Bobby boy. Old pensioner pants. Old shitty pants. And he's probably got old fucking irritable bowel syndrome Bob. Irritable bowel syndrome Bob. That's got a ring to it, by the way. Quite like that. Outstanding video, Jay. Maybe this... Well, I'll try and do a Bob voice, actually. Outstanding video, Jay. Maybe this will shut the Globers up. Oh, maybe this will shut the Globers up. You have just destroyed the Eratosthenes myth and made Jed's septic mediocrity look like the silly goose that he is. By the way, who did that claymation? I've seen better work from a 50-year-old Gumby and Pokey episode. Wink. Great work once again, Jaron. Cheers! 51 likes. 51 arse lickers. Everyone should check out this excellent talk of Bob's. Oh, but, I mean, the Flat Earth comments are just pish. Right. Destroyed. I'll give you that the shadow experiment could possibly work on every model, but it just as easily works on the globe model as well. Even people without the benefit of modern science could tell the Earth was a globe with simple observations. So destroyed, no man. Nice try though. There's someone saying that the Greeks knew about the summer solstice, the highest point the sun is in the sky. And then this guy's saying, how did they know? I crave Lucky Charms every time I hear Jed speak. Someone's getting mixed up with Ireland, I think, here. No flat earth books in the library. You notice this is becoming a bit of a trend amongst flat earth. There's this breaking up words like what was it I had the other day there? I think fucking Pete, man, he's got tons of them, believe, and there's tons of them, but this is a trend. Television, be live, and all this shit. There's Orphan Red. Where did the amazing claymation and water pacing visual come from? I can't understand why Eratosthenes proves globe myth is so popular among globe believers. I before E is set after C. Orphan, you should know better. It so clearly demonstrates a small local sun, she says. She claims. She asserts. We thought we had Orphan. We thought there was a chance. There was a hope for Orphan. Looks like there's not. Amazing, lol. See Bob Noodle's comments. That's probably sarcasm, actually. Orphan Red, it does. How do you work that out? If the sun is small and local, the experiment fails when you carry it out at various locations. It only works for a distant large sun. Hey, someone with sense. I do appreciate humour in these videos, but when someone is trying to use these videos as a tool to bring globe earthers to the truth, these comical videos are really hard to take seriously. I don't think it was comical. I think he was trying to be serious, by the way. But people will take it as comical because it's so flawed, clown-like. It is comical. His map looks like a dinosaur skull. Lol. This is Flat Earth. LMFAO, funny and educational. I love it. Nothing to add to the actual experiment or whatever. As soon as I heard Scottish accent, stopped watching. Scottish are New Age Jews, money, 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 watertight people. This is probably the best comment, guys. And I should have just read this comment at the beginning of my video, but I had to give my own personal view on Jaron's lame attempt at trying to diss my little animation. But if I started off with this comment here, I could have just made this video 10 minutes, guys. But anyway, I'll go through. Oh wow, lots of very basic errors here. I thought we'd been all over this before. Oh well, let's do it again. Eratosthenes proved the round earth. Well, that's false because the earth has always been proven round. I guess you could say he added proof, but no. The point of Eratosthenes' experiment was to measure the circumference. And like I said before, guys, why would you even try and measure circumference if you thought it was a flat disk? Crepuscular rays mean a close sun because they appear to converge above the clouds. False. Crepuscular rays are parallel. They appear to converge but only due to perspective, like train tracks. When you're in a forest, one of those things FEers don't exist. crepuscular rays appear to converge just above the canopy. Is the sun just above the trees? No, of course not. That's stupid. The ancient Greeks knew what perspective was and knew the crepuscular rays only appeared to converge, which brings us to... Eratosthenes believed the sun was close. False. If he had, he wouldn't have done this experiment. Long before Eratosthenes was born, earlier ancient Greeks, in particular Aristarchus, had proven that the sun was very, very far away and that the sun's rays were parallel. More on that in a bit. Eratosthenes' whole experiments relied on the sun's rays being parallel because it was very far away. Again, it had been demonstrated and proven. Number 4, Jaron. I hope you've read this. I didn't want to refresh this because I thought Jaron will delete this because this debunks his fucking bullshit in one comment. And I want to thank this person. Who's it? Raging S. Nice, nice. Eratosthenes used parallel rays now because of the eclipse they used angled rays. Misleading. The sun's rays are angled at about half a degree, always has been. It's easy to measure because the sun is so far away, then it's the same as its angular size in the sky. In the time of the ancient Greeks, half a degree was tiny. Anything less than a degree was ignored. If you sell an ancient Greek a computer for 9999.99, they're going to consider that $1,000, and they're not really wrong. And it was the same with me. I said 300 BC, even though Jeremy was trying to correct me, saying 27. But I looked at different dates. My research was giving me different dates, so I just rounded it off. But wait, doesn't that mean the Earth could still be flat? No, of course not. The difference that Eratosthenes measured in the angles between Alexandria and Syene was over 7 degrees. This is what Jaron misleads everyone during his video as well. This is what he ignores, the 7 degrees. So even if you account for the small error due to the angle of the rays of the sun, that doesn't come close to accounting for the differences in angles. So while it may have thrown off the calculation a bit, the Earth remains round. Perfect, perfect answers. Oh, that half a degree. The moon is 240,000 miles away, 2,000 miles across, and the light is coming in at half a degree. Guess how wide a shadow it casts. Not hard to deceive people when you set the rules. Nobody's setting the rules. Again, the sun's rays have always been very close to, but not exactly parallel. So for many applications like Eratosthenes' experiment, you can't just assume them parallel. There's no deception here. It's obvious that some people are too stupid to understand this, but that's not NASA's fault. It was unlikely that Eratosthenes could have accurately calculated the circumference of the Earth, yet he did it anyway. And this is what I was saying earlier. Accurately. Distances, angles, imperfects in the curvature, etc. Yes, those are all things which make the measurements difficult to do. When we reproduced the experiment in high school, we were even further off than Eratosthenes. Why? What about it? Does it mean the experiment is invalid? All experiments have source of experimental error. The Earth is nowhere near a perfect sphere. The polar radius is 6,357 miles. The equatorial radius is 6,378 miles. That's actually really close to being a perfect sphere. If you hold a model of it in your hands, you wouldn't be able to tell it wasn't a perfect sphere. If you have to give up your belief in Eratosthenes, why? You haven't given me a reason to. Heron never mentioned Eratosthenes. This is Jaron's claim. Most of Heron's work has been lost, so the absence of evidence from his writing is not evidence of absence. Other ancient Greeks, however, mention him, such as Strabo. He's the one who wrote down Eratosthenes' date of birth, which you seemed so sure of earlier in your video. This is his map. False. That's an 18th century drawing of his map, based on the geography that Eratosthenes described. As you can see, the whole Mediterranean is very accurate. He's got knowledge of the Arabian Peninsula and the east coast of Africa, and only vague ideas of India and East Asia. Obviously, he was unaware of the Western Hemisphere. That's pretty much all the Greek world knew about the Earth. I'm not sure what you were expecting. I mean, it's not like he's going to make up a lot of imaginary shit about dozens of extra continents or an ice wall stretching around the world. Which, this is what they were saying in Globebusters the other night there on Sunday. They're making assumptions that there's these continents floating beyond this ice wall and shit like that. They're making these assertions. And they're picking on this shit. Get a grip, Jaron. You're sad. You're sad. Why are latitudes and longitudes straight onto this map? Because it's a map, a 2D projection, not a globe. 2D maps do not represent reality accurately. For example, lines of longitude always converge when you go north and south of the pole, which is why there will never be a working flat earth model. 13. Few of Eratosthenes' writing is this. Yes, this is common for people of the time. We already discussed Hero, what to survive in his measurement. Eratosthenes is nothing more than a myth or a legend. That's entirely possible. You see, it seems you've repeated your straw man so many times, you've come to believe it. Science is not a religion. We don't worship Eratosthenes. I don't know anybody who gives two shits about him. What matters is his experiment. It measures the circumference of the globe Earth. It's reproducible. I've done it. You can do it. If we can build a time machine and go back and prove Eratosthenes never existed, so what? The Earth is still round. Eratosthenes thought the Sun was 1/12 the size of the Earth. Yeah, Eratosthenes was wrong about a lot of shit. He thought, for example, that the Sun revolved around the Earth. This is called geocentrism. See, the problem was, Eratosthenes lived in a time before the scientific method was invented, so even though he made measurements and did math and wrote books, he wasn't a scientist and made a lot of the same errors that other non-scientists do. He came to his belief first, and then he looked for evidence that proved he was right, often distorting the evidence and coming to false conclusions. Sound familiar? So while it had already been shown that the Sun was far larger by the time Eratosthenes came along, it was more convenient for his geocentric theory to believe it was only 1/12 the size that it really is. But hey, all this is that deal paper you said you read, so you don't need to tell me to tell you. Boy, it's a good thing nobody gives two shits about Eratosthenes, otherwise it might feel bad to learn he was so flawed. 16. 4,000 miles to the Sun. No, take another gander. He believed that the Sun was 100 times the distance of the Earth's radius. He accurately measured the radius at 4,000 miles. Thus, his estimate of the distance to the Sun was 400,000 miles, way off the true value, but far more distant than the 3,000 miles you goofballs claim. You have right there in your graphic 4,080,000 stads, but there's 1 nautical mile per stad singular, so it would be 408,000 nautical miles, not 4,080 nautical miles. You divided by 1,000, not 10. Once again, you've made a basic multiplication division error. Good lord. And that there, guys, is the ultimate comment. This is the ultimate comment. And like I said, I should have just read this to begin with, but I wanted to give my own personal view of Jerry first. But awesome comment. You'll never get a comment like that from Flat Earth. No way. No way. It'll be just DeBay's 200 proofs. Here's another one. Unfortunately for Jeranism, anyone can download the DO Volume 14 and read it themselves, which I have done. If you read the whole article, you'll find it literally says Eratosthenes purposely rounded numbers that he did not like so he could pretend that the Sun was 12 times smaller than the Earth in order to climb to academic eminence in Ptolemaic Alexandria by catering to anti-progressive geocentric priests. The text goes on to say in the footnotes that a Macrobius passage states Eratosthenes' Sun was calculated at 27 times the size of the Earth, and also 1 stad equals 600 feet. So Eratosthenes calculated the Moon at 88,636 miles and the Sun at 463,636 6 miles. For fuck's sake, do you think no one will fact check you? Jeranism once again caught cherry picking from sources and omitting pertinent information in order to push his agenda. Can't say I'm surprised. Drew Goodman, he has to make money somehow. This is his job. Pathetic. Pathetic. That's what you are, Jaron. Total pathetic. I'm losing faith in Flat Earth. The eclipse kinda ruins it, and I watched a video showing the ISS transiting the sun during the eclipse. Just can't explain it with a flat Earth. Help, Jaron. No reply. Now here's Flat Earth math. Charles. He's made a comment. Someone I recognise. Hello, Jeranism. Yes, crepuscular rays appear to converge, but so do railroad tracks. Are you saying that you know for certain Eratosthenes never viewed crepuscular and anti-crepuscular rays? Because when you look at them going overhead, when you're looking 90 degrees to the light, you'll see them to be parallel. As for Eratosthenes, you can duplicate the observation with a flat Earth and a small closed sun. The problem is this only works with 2 observation points. As soon as you add another observer in other locations, all of a sudden you find that it is impossible to locate the small closed sun consistent with observation. Meanwhile, the globe continues to be consistent with real world observations, especially any time one looks up. Jaron's just getting debunked in his comments. That's why I had to keep this. I didn't want to refresh it because these guys are just slaying him in the comments. Total trashing him. But he deserves it because it was a trashy video, and he should do more research if he's going to make crap like that. Jaron, at 4:20, you are completely misrepresented what is shown in that image. That out-of-scale model shows technical side of light-shadow boundaries, not sun literally emitting only 5 rays under angles displayed there. And that was when I was showing you with it was like an eclipse where the sun's rays were just hitting the back of the moon and it wasn't hitting the earth. You want parallel rays? Take that image you drawn. How many you want parallel lines from the sun hitting the earth? The point is that from certain parts of the sun you won't be able to do that due to the moon obstructing the earth's surface. Now let's talk about rays and angles. Of course there are also rays hitting the surface under different angles. The issue here is those rays, due to not being orthogonal to surface, they have to cover large areas of surface, thus making sun radiation being distributed over a large area, resulting in less intensity. That's why the sun directly above our head is the most intensive one opposite to a sun at 45 degrees, for example. And regarding Eratosthenes, all he did was calculate radius of Earth under assumptions you mentioned. Still an achievement. Question is, why in 2017 there is a bunch of people assuming the Earth has been flat with small close sun, yet no one can calculate distance to moon, sun, moon and their sizes with current technology to match the observations all over the world. Here's a flat Earth. Nailed it, brother. Thank you. Thumbs up. I don't get it. Was this supposed to be funny or actually bad evidence of a globe? So you're willing, eager even, to just throw the baby out with the bathwater without actually analysing the concept or presenting a fleshed out alternative. Your claims of being intellectually honest and seeking the truth no matter what it may hold no weight with me anymore. Curb stomping them globe trotters every single day. A stadion is about 160 metres or something around that, which is give or take 0.1 mile. Good math there, champ. Oh god. Jaron made a big poo-poo in his pants there, like, what an idiot. Here's another one. Using the measurements that Eratosthenes is claimed to have taken, 5,000 stadia between Syene and Alexandria and 7 degrees cast by the stick shadow at Alexandria, and assuming that the sun is local, as you suggest in the video, this puts the distance of the sun at roughly 98 kilometers above the surface of the earth. Yet the pictures you showed of light being cast through clouds would suggest that the sun is just above the cloud tops, which would be at most 18 kilometers. How do you mend this discrepancy? If you were to ask me, I would say that the pictures of the clouds that you posted are crepuscular rays and only appear to be converging due to a trick of perspective. The place at which they all emerge is 15 kilometres off the ground, so they appear to spread out nearer the surface, just as a hallway appears to shrink as the distance increases. And thus, the only other explanation for Eratosthenes' experiment must be true, until a plausible other explanation is offered, of course, and thus the Earth is a sphere. Oh dear. Wow. Jaron's just getting slapped all over his comments. What's this one? Right. I'll let you guys read the comments if you're interested, but like I said, Jaron, that was lame. I think you've got better things to worry about. Like I said, you've got to worry about your buddy IPS. He's ready to exit or something. He's ready to go. He's ready to go, and all you people that supported him are going to explain what happened. And anyway, Jaron, you've got your balloon and your map to worry about. So get back to that instead of picking on the fucking wee channels, eh? Right, who's here? Hey, there's tomfoolery of the International Space Stage. You can, well, I just mean when there's a live panel, I don't want people to incite violence. Anyway, hope you have a good night. And like I said, open your mind. There's shite inside.